Hey, my name is Alistair Cunningham and welcome to this week's episode. I am going to be talking to you today about how you can be making the decisions of your life. Hey, my name is Alistair Cunningham. Make sure you get subscribed, turn on notifications. Now, what we're going to talk about this week. Making decisions. We all struggle with it. Most people go through life never making decisions. They procrastinate. They just never do anything because of fear, because of irrationality, because of illogical feelings, illogical thoughts. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is basically the three things that I do whenever it comes to making a decision. And I've just done it with a deal. I'm buying a property and I've just done it with this deal that I'm buying. So I'm going to use that as a working example. So I always do what's called best case, worst case, likely case. In every scenario. I do this with everything. So it's not just property, it's every aspect of my life. Now, I always take the given situation. So like I said earlier, I'm going to I'm buying a property at the minute. And there was lots of, should I do it, should I not do it? COVID-19 going on, lockdown, what's happening? So how do I go about making a sensible, informed, logical decision without bringing my emotions and my fear into it? It's crucial when you're doing this because it then lets you focus on just making a logical, fearless, informed decision. And this is for business, this is for life, this is for everything. But I used it for this example on a property deal. Now, the property I'm buying is a property I'm buying in Bedford. It's £210,000. It's been valued as a GDV of £350,000. But obviously there's some sort of refurb work needs to happen in the meantime. So when I'm looking at that deal, what is potentially, what is the best thing that can happen? Well, the best thing that can happen is after I've worked out all my costs, all my purchasing costs, all my money into that deal is going to be about £260,000. That's including my personal investment. So the best case on this particular deal, I sell it for the market value of £350,000. I'll have some costs to come out for the selling fees, £4,000. So £345,000. Take away all of my costs to buy it and joint venture loans, etc., 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 my finance, everything, and I'll be left £90,000 in profit. That's if I sell it. The other best case situation was I've got the option to finance it. I could then refinance it onto a buy-to-let product. Now, if I do that, I'm not going to get the full £90,000 because that is equity. I'd only actually probably get £10,000 to £15,000. But I would then have passive income of about £1,500 per month. Now, we would make it into a 5-bed HMO. In this area, 5-bed HMOs get between £550 and £600. So the income would be about £3,000 a month. Passive income, I say roughly 50% of what the income would be, which would give about £1,500 a month. So for instance, at the minute, I'm sure you'll agree, the best case is pretty good. Best case one, this is option one, is we'll make about £90,000 profit if we flip it and sell it to somebody else, sell it to a family or give a family a nice home, they can buy it at the market value. That's best case one. Best case two is I can refinance it, put a buy-to-let mortgage on it, get an 80% LTV, loan to value, from the lender, and they would give me about £285,000 depending on the GDV, and I would end up with about £15,000 back out of the property, all of my money back as well, plus I would then, option three, I would then let it out as a HMO and make £1,500 a month. Option four is I do option two, which is I refinance it, and I then let it as a single let, which I would make probably £700 a month from. So, as you can see, there's plenty of options, plenty of exits for me to get out of this deal. Plus, I'll still have 20% equity in the property. And that property is going to go up in value in time because we know that historically in the UK, property's always doubled every 10 years. Historically, this is an average. So I know best case is pretty good. Worst case. What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen, one of the worst things that could happen is the refinance could come in at not £350,000, but £330,000. So, I'm going to knock £20,000 off that because I wouldn't be able to sell it for £350, I'd sell it for £330, so I'd only make £70,000. I'd be left with money in the deal, so there'd be no money out. If I flipped it, I'd get £70,000. If I kept it and put it onto an 80% loan to value rate, I would probably not get any extra cash out of the deal, and I might leave maybe £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 in the deal. So most of my money will come back to me, my investment, but I'm not going to make any profit at this point, cash-wise, and I'll probably leave £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 in the deal. The property would then, as a refinance, would still let for £1,500, would still make £1,500, £1,600 a month, and would still get passive income of these. So these figures are still about right. 1,500 and 700. They're still about right, and I'd still have 20% equity. So the other worst case is I could, like the finance, the property prices could dip completely, and let's just say worst case it comes back and they say that it's only actually worth £300,000. Well, in that case, I'm only going to get £40,000 back. I'm going to get no money out, and I'll leave all of my money in the deal, pretty much. I'll still get passive income as a HMO. I'd still get the passive income as a single let, and I would still have 20% equity. So we've seen best case, we've seen worst case. Now, what's the likely outcome? The likely outcome is the property is going to get revalued around about what they say. Let's just say 340, right? It's very much going to get valued around that sort of mark. I mean, I got it valued during coronavirus, during lockdown. So the bank has given a valuation on it in lockdown. So they're happy with the valuation. So it's likely it's going to get valued around 330 to 350. So let's just say it's going to get revalued at 330, okay? £20,000 under the market value. Therefore, I'm going to get, if I flip it, 70,000 profit from all of my costs, sell it to somebody who moves into the property, lives happily ever after, I'll get about £70,000 profit, plus all of the money I invested, because I've invested a bit of money into this deal. If I opted to refinance it, I would get probably no money out, but I would get my investment back. So I wouldn't probably withdraw any cash from the deal, but I would get most of my investment back. The property will rent out as a HMO, £1,500 passive income after all the costs. Obviously, the rental income will be about £3,000. Take away about 40% costs, because I've got HMOs, I know roughly they're about 40% costs. I'll be left with between £1,300 and £1,400. But let's just say likely we have to sell a couple of rooms cheap to get them in there. So let's just say, actually not £1,500, let's just say likely we get £1,200 passive income per month. And again, as a single let, it's going to rent out for about £1,400 a month. I know the area very, very well. Properties in the area are renting for that sort of property money. In the same street, there's 3 beds that are renting for £1,300 a month. This is going to be a 4-bed. So I'm very comfortable it's going to rent for £400 a month. After all costs, mortgages, I'm going to be left with about £700. But that's just worst case, say £500. And if I kept it, I'd still have 20% equity. So I stand back and I look at it. Okay, so best case, I stand to make £90,000. If I refinanced it, I'd bring £10,000 to £15,000 out, plus all of my investment, and I'd get a passive income of £1,500. If I'd done it as a HMO, or £700 if I'd done it as a single let. And I would retain 20% equity if I refinanced it. So that's a pretty good best case, I'm sure you'll agree. Second, worst case is sell a property a little bit cheaper to get it sold quickly, so I'll only make £60,000 to £70,000. If I refinanced it, I wouldn't get any additional money back, but I'd get all my investment back. Maybe leave £4,000 or £5,000 in the deal, depending on the exact refinance figure and the exact costings for building and all that sort of stuff. Worst case is, you know what? The rooms don't rent. So I said £1,500, but the rooms don't rent, and I only make, let's just change it actually. So worst case is I'm only making £800 as a HMO profit, rental, passive income. Still make £700 a month as a single let, because it's a very high demand in that area for single lets. And if I flipped it, I've got 20% equity. That's worst case. Likely case is I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to make £70,000 to £90,000 profit. If I sold it, I wouldn't get any money out if the refinance came in a little bit lower, but I'd get all my investment back. I'd make somewhere in the middle, £1,200, £1,300, £1,400 a month passive income. make about £500, £600 a month as a single let property, and I'd be left with 20% equity. So like I say, I sit back, I look at it, yep, if I'm happy with this, so I go by this, I go by worst case. If I can live with worst case, then I go for it. If you cannot live with the worst case scenario in anything you're doing, don't do it. If you can, and you're an entrepreneur, and you're prepared to take risk, then go for it. But be happy with the best case, be happy with the likely case, and be aware of the worst case. Guys, I hope you found that useful. I use this for every decision I make when it comes to business and in life. It's helped me so much, and I hope it helps you. Catch you next time, guys.